Okay, welcome to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. It wouldn't be a good live broadcast if we didn't have problems. We're waiting on our guest, Mr. Mike Detillier, to come in, and he's having some technical problems right now trying to log in. So we were trying to give him some time to hop on. So if you see us checking things and not looking like we're looking at the screen, it's because we're trying to see if we can help him any further. Um,
I'm
with
sending love letters to my wife, but anyway,
You must have gotten
moving
in
right
trouble,
along.
Sean. Yeah, you must have gotten in trouble. I'm your
Uh,
host. I'm your
not so
host, Alan
much.
Ulrich, and I got my equally confused
Inept.
partner here, Sean Williams. Not quite inept. No, we're on, so we can't be inept. It's Mr. Mike Detillier who is a little unsure of how he's supposed to join this conversation. I guess he thought we were going to do this by phone. Um,
Um,
As always, Sean, we want to thank our
yes.
sponsors. First Fan First Productions. I always want to reverse that. Fan First Productions. Um, we also want to remind you guys, y'all can see us on YouTube. You can check us out on iTunes. You can follow us on Facebook, Under the Dome. You can follow us on Twitter, Under the Dome. Is that PO1?
Under the
Shows you how much I look at it.
at Under the Dome PO1.
PO1. Okay. And of course, I'm 79 Saints, and uh, Mr. Sean is Drew's dad, 3721. Um, and while we're waiting for our guest, Mike Detillier, to find out if he can join us or not, let's kind of look back. It's been 5 days. Let's look back at that Carolina game, because there's a couple things I want to talk about in that game that people kind of they really they're really, I guess, angry, upset, disappointed about, aside from the fact that we lost, um, that it took us almost 3 quarters before we finally got on track and actually started moving the ball. And then once we started moving the ball in the fourth quarter, it's like people would just scream at the TV, hurry up, hurry up. We don't have this much time to kill.
Absolutely
And
no sense of urgency whatsoever. And I don't mean at the on the last drive when the clock ran out with us with the ball. The drive before, when we were still uh we were eking our way down the field with uh 4 and 5 minutes on the clock, steadily going into the huddle, breaking huddle, walking to the line of scrimmage. Absolutely no sense of urgency whatsoever, and I didn't understand that. And to this
uh,
moment, I still don't understand why that was.
well, it's just anything I agree with, but it's a theory I'm throwing out nonetheless. 2 weeks ago, Denver game, before the blocked extra point, um, we had scored that touchdown, that bomb, that amazing throw to Brandon Cooks, but we had a minute 22 left in the game, and the Broncos had one timeout left. With the Broncos needing a field goal to win, how confident were you that the Saints were going to be able to stop them with a minute 22 and a timeout left?
As much time as the defense had spent on the field, I will admit to you that my confidence was waning as the
Mm-hmm.
game went on.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard quite a few of the analysts say uh, that even had we not had the field goal blocked and returned, or the
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, the extra point, had it not been blocked and returned for the 2 point conversion, that there was still a minute 22 left on the clock, and the chances that um I'm drawing blank, the quarterback
Oh,
for Denver,
the Denver quarterback, yeah.
that he would have driven the team down within range for a field goal. And I
Right.
can tell you that McManus's range is anything beyond the midfield stripe.
Well, here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. Um, because you're kind of caught in a no man's land here. You want to, number one, take what the defense is giving you. Carolina was conceding these underneath throws. They were conceding the running plays. And at the same time, we don't want to leave Carolina with any time left and possibly having it be a tie ball game or whatever. Now, granted, we had no idea we were going to be able to score 17 points in 11 minutes or whatever, or 14 points in 11 minutes actually, because it was it would have been what? No, 17, because we had three. Um, what Sean was doing was trying to manage the game, burn off the time, because we had stopped the Panthers 3 consecutive times.
Sure.
And they burned off only maybe 20 seconds in each possession. And this is the key point of the game. With 2 minutes and 30 odd cents left, you've got 2 timeouts. It's 3rd and 10. Again, they hadn't burned much time off at the clock on the clock. They would have ran one more running play on 3rd and 10. You call a timeout before the 2-minute warning. So you get the 2-minute warning after the punt. You still have enough time with Drew Brees and his offense, the way they were going, to get in field, if not score a touchdown. Now, of course, field goals right now, that's like playing Russian roulette right now with 5 live bullets and 1 empty chamber. So, I wanted to score a touchdown and not even worry about a field goal. But I understand the thinking that Sean Payton was thinking about that. You were going to have enough time if we get that one more stop, 3 and out. We'll have enough time and save our timeouts that we can drive and win this game and leave Carolina with no time left. They're the ones that are going to have to play from behind.
I can understand exactly what you're saying. And I think that there's a lot of validity to it, actually. And while I'm making this point, Alan, can we try to email that link to Mr. Detillier once more?
Yeah, I sure can. Somebody gets to watch me type and how bad I am. Just want to make sure I get the right address here.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, for us to, I can see what I can only assume was Peyton's effort to completely drain the clock and leave them with nothing. But at the same time, I have a problem with that because you're still 2 scores down.
Yeah. You're playing not to lose. You're not playing to win. He's not being aggressive.
And I think that's, I mean, you said a mouthful there. If you're not playing to win, then you're playing not to lose. And most people don't realize and fully comprehend that that's a huge chasm of difference there.
No, Jim Moore made a living off of that.
Yeah.
That's the Jim Moore offense.
Playing careful. And I don't think it's too far out of the realm of being fair. I don't think it's too unfair to say that type of decision-making, coaching style, whatever you want to call it, that's not Sean Payton. Sean Payton got to where he is by taking chances. The most obvious thing that I could offer up as proof of that is the ambush play from the Super Bowl, and that's just one example. Going forward on 4th downs, Sean Payton got this team to where it is. Yeah, he got this team to where it is by taking chances. And from the time that he returned from that year-long suspension from the Bounty Gate debacle, I don't think that I'm out of line by saying that his coaching style has changed. It's different now. He doesn't take nearly the chances that he once did.
Well, I still see some of it. It happens occasionally. It's just it blows up in our faces a lot more than ever used to. Um, we remember those games like ambush, and we remember those games where he goes for them fourth down and tries to get it and stuff like that. We forget the tight end reverses that end up losing yardage. That's a difference in the ball game. That happened in 2008 against the Buccaneers. And the only reason why that game sticks out in my mind is because that's the one game I brought my dad to. One of these guys that, same old Saints. Here we go again. And I'm like, no, Dad, this is a good team. This is going to be a fun team to watch. He's aggressive. He does these things. You see what your stupid coach did? Reverse, and sorry, I talk like my dad and I start coughing. But yeah,
Hang in there.
Yeah. But, I think what's happened now is we'll play the odds. And for every ambush play that works, for every, double reverse pitch play, a shot down the field kind of play, we're starting to see the negative side of some of those plays when he does do that. So he kind of dials it back. And, at least in 2014 and 2015, we kind of lacked the personnel really to be as aggressive as Sean likes to be. I think we're starting to get those people back. But once you lost the Sproles, once you lost Marcus Colston, well, we're kind of making up for it, Michael Thomas. But once you start losing those kind of pieces, the Pierre Thomases, the Jeffrey Hendersons, it's now – you now have to say, well, I have to dial it back and run the kind of plays with the personnel that I've got now. I can't run the plays that I ran when I had these other people in there. I think that's what you're seeing showing up right now. And as he gets more comfortable, as these guys get better at executing the kind of things he wants to do, I think he'll loosen up the playbook more. But,
well, one thing
2012 Humbleton, that bounty gate really thing.
Yeah, not necessarily for the better. Sorry, I went low bridge for that.
That's all right.
I need to say this. Due to circumstances beyond our control, our guest tonight will not be able to join us, Mr. Detillier, and we have had some technical issues that we're going to have to work out. We're going to get him back on with us just as soon as we possibly can. We apologize for this turning out the way that it did, but we're going to get him on just with us as soon as we possibly can.
And I'm gonna coax some Buddy D stories out of him.
Oh, cool. See you.
Let me tell you one real quick, and this is one of my favorites. Buddy D'Alberto used to, for those of you who are not from the New Orleans area, Buddy D'Alberto was a local icon as a sports commentator, and he finished his career on radio, which is kind of ironically where he started. And only in New Orleans, job on radio was a speech impediment, because the man could not say certain words. He had trouble with certain words. It was like his tongue was too big for his mouth. And, I've never heard it before, but, he's the only person who ever talked about people tearing Lee ligaments. And we had a wide receiver apparently named Dante Stahlpepper. We had it was Carlton Heston, who starred in Number One, the movie about an aging Saints quarterback trying to make a comeback with an expansion team. like the New Orleans Saints back in 1969, which I actually have seen this movie. It is a terrible movie. Trust me on this. It is a bad movie, but it's kind of cool if you.
Well, how could it not be with Carlton Heston in the lead
Yeah,
role, man?
right. It's cool because you see a lot of old New Orleans. You see a lot of old New Orleans, and if you know your old Saints players, they're all over the place in the film. Original Saints players just make appearances different places, and they use game footage as well as like preseason footage from the '68 season, I think it was. Got Billy Kilmer dropping back to pass. You know what Billy Kilmer looked like. He did not like an athlete. He had the sloppy belly, the baggy shirt, the socks all messed up and stuff. He would drop back to pass this long shot of Kilmer, and then it would zoom in on Charlton Heston. I almost said Charlton Heston. And Charlton Heston's about a foot taller and thin, and it's funny to watch. But it's a fun movie to look at if you're a diehard Saints fan. So it's called Number One. It used to be, it pops up every so often in Turner Classic. If you have Turner Classic movies, watch it once, suffer through it, and then delete it off your DVR. It's not that much of a collector's item. But anyway,
just for the record, I just crossed Billy Kilmer off our potential guest list.
Oh no, Billy Kilmer would laugh about that. He would totally laugh about this. Buddy D told a story.
The best thing about Billy Kilmer that I ever heard was they allowed some defensive player did something on the field and he got booed, and he came to the sidelines and he was all dejected. And when he came off the field, Billy Kilmer walked over to him and he said, "What's wrong, man? Why you got your head down?" He said, "Listen to him, man. They're booing me." He said, "You think that's bad? Watch this." Snapped his chin strap, then he walked out on the field.
Billy Kilmer was known to have thrown the option pass. And they call it the option pass. You could choose which way you wanted to catch, which end of the ball you wanted to catch first as it was coming towards you. No, but here's the story. This was, I think, in 1969. Tom Fears, kind of the original Saints coach, had finally won like a power struggle with Vic Schwenk, the original Saints GM. Bob Rose was there for a little while, but Meekum didn't like him. But anyway, Vic Schwenk was really the first GM the Saints ever had. And they allow the media into the quote-unquote war room when they're making the draft selections. This is, it's either 69 or 70. It was the first common draft between the AFL and the NFL.
1970.
1970? Okay,
yeah.
So it has to be 70 then. Anyway, Saints had their board up. It's a chalkboard with, spots, and they got names with stickers on them, on the board, whatever. And pick them the Raiders picking. And the Raiders, in the first round, they pick a player that's not even on the Saints board. It's nowhere. That name is nowhere. And this is the first round. And Fear says, "Where the hell is this guy?" And he says, and Vic Schwenk says, "Well, if he's not on our board, he can't be any good." Now, the Oakland Raiders just got finished playing in a Super Bowl II against the Packers. This is the Raiders and the Chiefs were the two best teams in the AFL. Okay, their games. If the Raiders weren't either in the AFL championship game, which I think they were in 67, 68, 69, and 70, they were right there. So this is obviously a team that knows talent, okay? And for them not to have that name on the board just spoke volumes about the kind of scouting and the kind of general manager they had. Buddy D used to refer to Vic Schwenk as a shoe salesman. Anyway, when Fears heard Schwenk say that, if he's not on our board, he's not even worth drafting. Up out of the table and went after him. They had to separate the two. Now they got the media all in this war room, and this is what they're seeing. So that tells you what kind of organization the Saints had. Well, of
Yeah.
course, Fears gets fired in the 70s. Vic Schwink gets fired not long after that. Then they hire an astronaut to run the organization. So, that's the wonderful John Meekum years, what it was like on that team. One of the things you have, I'm going back now. One of the things that you have on the thing about the curse of Thursday night,
Well, to be honest with you, Alan, I think that's I never put much stock in it, but of course, at the same time, for lack of a better way of putting it, I guess, it never really, I never really paid that much attention to it until it was my team involved, and I saw Drew Brees come out there, and you know, Drew never has a problem getting up for a game, being prepared for a game. But
mhm.
and if you'll remember, I messaged you during that game. I said, "Is it just me, or does he not look crisp? Does he not look fresh?" And your response to me was, "Of course he's not. It's on a Thursday night. They played 4 days ago."
Yep.
Uh, and when it's your team, I guess the moral of that story, when it's your team, it makes a difference. Yeah, I think it absolutely did. But you have to go back and think about something now. I have the figures here. Let me see if I got them close.
Well, while you're looking that up, remember on Thursday Night Football, that is the game against the Falcons where the Saints, where Drew Brees' consecutive games with touchdown pass was snapped. It was
Yeah,
against the Falcons big game, and
yeah,
they didn't look sharp in that game either. They looked very
yeah,
not lethargic. It's just they were off by a half a second. You could
yeah,
see like that pass he threw to Lance Moore. That Lance Moore just wasn't quite ready for it and dropped it.
yeah.
Lance Moore didn't drop passes like that. On a Sunday or a
No,
Monday, and yeah,
no.
that I see that every week on Thursday Night Football. You see
Um,
very, very sloppy play. And I do think it's because these teams have just played a game 4 days ago. And yes, I know Thanksgiving, the tradition with Thanksgiving, but the Lions
yeah,
has stunk forever. This
yeah,
actually is going to be a good game this weekend,
yeah.
2 days from now. And same with the Cowboys and the Redskins game. But for the most part, these guys need these days off to recover. You know,
Well,
you now start doing.
these are professional athletes. They make their living by following a routine, and when you alter
Mhm.
that routine, you're gonna absolutely alter the outcome as well. Drew Brees threw
Yeah,
for 40. He threw 44 passes against Carolina. That's the most passes that he's thrown in a single game in a month.
yeah,
Going back over the
and they
last
ran
month, going back
they
over
ran the ball a good bit too. They ran 71 plays. I mean, we forget
yeah,
about that in that Carolina game. They ran 71 plays.
going
That's
back over the last month, Drew has attempted 44, 29, 39, and 35. For a 37-year-old man, 147 passes it's a lot. And
yes,
I
it
hate
is,
to
but
jump on that bandwagon of what everybody else is saying, but you know, I'm I'm slightly older than Drew. I'm not going to divulge exactly how much older than, but when you cross a certain threshold, those extra years do mean something. And when you have a 37-year-old quarterback, that is part of the narrative, and that's part of something that you have to think about and consider.
here's the thing that happens on a Thursday night game. Typically, the teams, instead of taking two physical practices, they do more of a walkthrough. Okay, they do more mental reps. So as a result, the execution isn't there because you haven't been rehearsing these plays as much. Now, that's one of the reasons why they do divisional games is because they think, okay, we'll make this up because then you don't do as much game planning because you know the team you're playing. You don't have to look at the film and things like that. You know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I got that. But what you saw in that first half was the Saints not being very sharp. And the Panthers are the Panthers. Their offense is not very good right now. And honestly, I thought the Panthers were pretty much dead, except for a couple lucky plays until after we missed no after the mishandled kickoff where instead of letting the ball go out of bounds, Murphy recovered it one. Cam gets the ball back with I don't know how much time left, maybe a minute left, less than a minute. And he throws that perfect bomb. Robinson was in good coverage, but he throws that perfect bomb to Ted Ginn. And think about that. A linebacker, that was classic cover two, a linebacker covering the fastest receiver for the Panthers. And he's technically step for step with that guy, 50 yards.
50 yards down the field.
But when they completed that pass, it seemed like that kind of woke up the Panthers. Like, okay, we have a shot now. We have a chance to win this game. And
I think that people don't understand, or at least judging from some of the comments that I saw during the game, they don't understand that the Carolina team that we played on Thursday night is not the same team that we played a few weeks ago in the Superdome. You had a different secondary that absolutely 100% took the long ball away from Drew Brees early in that game. And also you had a different offensive line because you had Ryan Khalil, an all-pro center, that calls all
he did get knocked out. He did get knocked out in the game.
Yeah. That was the point I was leading up to. You had a point in time in that game where it could have turned for the Saints because you had Khalil knocked out shortly after halftime, which basically, if you go back and you analyze it, when Khalil came out, except for maybe a random long pass here and there from Newton, their offense ceased to exist when Khalil went out. And at the same time, when it got down to crunch time at the end of the game, of course, Kuechly goes out with a concussion, which at the time looked to be far worse than just a concussion.
I thought it was a knee injury. I thought it was a knee
I did
injury.
too. I thought he had completely blown out his knee, just judging from his reaction.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there were plays to be had in the second half once people started going out. And, of course, don't forget, our offensive line was different than it was in the Dome. You didn't have Teron Armstead. You had Pete playing left tackle, and you had Clemente at guard, whereas last time we had Armstead at tackle and Pete at guard. And you saw the difference with Short and Star Latoué getting penetration with Pete at left tackle. And I forgot the pass rushing defensive end. I forgot his name right now, but he got hurt in the game too. But he was making some plays against Pete when Pete was at left tackle. So, that was having an impact on that as well. So it was two different things going on, but at the same time, had that game be played on a Sunday instead of a Thursday, I think we would have seen a better performance out of the Saints team.
I agree.
But at the same time, it's taken us a quarter, a half to get going. Whereas during the winning streak, we got going right away. We were scoring our first possession and getting the other team on its heels. That's a problem right now too.
All this week, I've explained to people that the Saints over the past, I want to say maybe 3 weeks to a month, they spend 3 quarters covering up the mistakes that they make in the first quarter. And sometimes they do it well enough to get the W, but most of the time not.
Well, we have yet to play a game, a consistent 4-quarter game. either offensive or defensively, or even special teams. We have yet to play a consistent game for 4 quarters. We don't have a return guy who can make a competent decision, unless you put
Sure.
Jarvis Bird back there to just fair catch every punt, and you put Cadet back there to take a knee, or Hightower back there to take a knee on every kickoff. You don't have a guy who can make a good decision when to take it out and when not to. You've got problems on the blocking side. I know Lutz is kicking low, and I know part of it is because he wants to make sure he gets the distance. And it's just like I explained this, I think, to somebody else a while back. It's like a cue ball. When you want to hit for power, you're going at a certain spot. If you're trying to get it to stop, and just knock a ball in or to move somewhere else, you hit it at a different spot. It's the same way with a football. And you've got that issue going on. Plus, there's something going on the right side of the offensive line. Either it's the tight end or whoever's blocking the edge, or something going on in the B gap. They're attacking the B gap. But
I've got visitors.
I hear that. Hey,
Yeah, that's my little,
enjoy it.
That's my little Drew. Hey,
That's all right. Hey, enjoy it.
Not
Mine just turned my little Drew just turned 21 today.
Wow.
So enjoy it while it lasts, because I don't know how the hell he's 21. I'm only 30, but whatever.
Yeah, it's not raining there, is it? Because lightning does strike.
Hey, if lightning strikes me, I better turn to Captain Marvel. So
anyway, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, look, he disappeared. He disappeared. He hit the mic and everything. Oh my God. Okay. He's coming back. I think he's coming back. I hear the sound.
Whew. Scared me.
Oh, that's okay. But anyway, yeah, like I said, enjoy them while they're young, because they grow up too fast. I posted some pictures of him, and I got a bunch of stuff. We found in old pictures because my kids are rearranging their rooms right now. And my 2 girls swapped rooms because Allison's not here anymore. She's in college. So her younger sister, Reagan, took the big room. And now I'm finding these pictures of the kids, when they were 5, 7. And I'm like, oh my God, how can that be that long ago? It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Well, I have one 4,
so
1 7, 1 19, and 1 26.
Okay, you got me beat. I got 21, 18, and 16, and that's all I need.
Yeah, well, it has its benefits.
There you go.
I also have 4 grandkids. They call me Poppy.
Well, I don't want any grandkids right now. You hear that, my kid? I know one girl's watching this right now. I do not want any grandkids, not for a long time. Anyway.
Well, love has a way of changing those things. But moving right along.
Yeah. But
one thing that I can say that has happened kind of before our eyes, and not a lot of people have bothered to notice, our defense suddenly has become dependable. Who would have thunk it?
Well, you're seeing guys come back. And that was the thing. You were always talking about, how good would this defense be when this person comes back? How good would this defense be when this person comes back?
I'm looking for that.
My son just texted me, I'll give you 4 years. Yeah. Not from you. All right.
I'm looking for that thing that I found I passed.
Oh, yeah. I saw it. Hang on here. It was from Mike Triplett from ESPN. Surprising stats. Saints defense #1 in the NFL in the red zone efficiency since week 7. Tied 5th in run defense since week 4. And if you start looking at the players that came back, Sheldon Rankins is back. You're seeing a lot of pass rush ability out of Nick Fairley. I mean, Nick Fairley killed some guy in the Carolina game. I forgot which back it was he tackled, but he killed him. You saw Cam Jordan is playing at a Pro Bowl level right now.
Absolutely.
Is it consistent? It's getting there. It's not totally there, but it's getting there. I mean, they had it on. I follow the Saints on Instagram. They had one on loop where Cam Jordan read the play, shoots right in there and tackles Jonathan Stewart for a loss. And I mean, it was a huge play. Jonathan Stewart slams the ball over the ground because no one even touched him. And I mean, you're seeing more of those kind of plays, and Sheldon Rankins is having an impact.
Yeah.
For a guy coming off a broken leg, a rookie, he's having an impact. Now, we didn't have Devin Breaux. I think they deliberately sat him down because of a 4-day rest. Him playing the bulk of the game against the Broncos, I think he's going to play now for the rest of the season without any kind of rest.
I'll go a step further. I don't think that Breaux was prepared to I'm not going to say prepared. I don't think that he was in shape to come back as quickly as he did. I mean, I watched several of his snaps against. I watched several of his snaps against Denver, and the reaction and the instincts were there. The mobility was not. So,
it's a different kind of position. It's so much of it is about really speed and about opening your hips, making quick stops, starts, turns, that whole bit. Whereas, for Rankins, I hate to make it sound like a defensive lineman doesn't have to have as much athleticism, but, basically he's going forward all the time. He's not running backwards and cutting and things like that. He is constantly going upfield to make a play.
Well, you're talking about doing your job in a phone booth as opposed to doing your job in a swimming pool. And I don't mean to minimize anything, but at the same time, it is what it is. I think that that Rankins gets back to his former level, and in all honesty, that may or may not happen this year. But I think something that's happened at the same time, something that's happened for the betterment of this defense is guys like Crawley, and
he made a great play in the game.
The guys that you brought in relief of your injured guys like Sterling Moore, B.W. Webb, they have filled their roles very nicely and very effectively at that. Now, are they going to be accused of being Darrelle Revis? No, but that's not what they were brought in to do.
They're playing within the context of the defense, and I think that looks that they are doing their jobs, and that's a positive.
Well, if you look at it for what it is, you bring guys at this point in this, or at that point in the season, you bring those guys in, all your realistic expectations for in that situation is to just keep your defense's head above the water where you don't drown, just long enough for your main guys to come back. And I mean, they've done that, and I don't know of any way that they could have done any better than they have. And like the stat you read, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Rankins and Fairley coming along or improving the way that they have has had sort of a ripple effect in the results that Cam Jordan is enjoying now. I can't bring to mind immediately the figure, but Cam Jordan over the past, I want to say that the Saints had whatever the figure was, they've had more sacks in the past 2 games than they had the entire previous balance of the schedule.
A lot of people were frustrated with Donnell Ellaby and wondering, why are we keeping this guy around? He's never available and things like that. But you see what he brings to the table when he does play. I mean, he
Sure,
is a difference
he's
maker
the
at
be-
linebacker.
he's the
He's your
best
fastest guy
linebacker
at
that
linebacker.
he's the best linebacker that we have on the roster, bar none, when he's healthy. Now
Yeah,
the
and
difference maker is going to be how long are you going to be able to maintain that health? Uh, in the
right,
grand
exactly.
the in the big picture of things, if you're able to play 3 games out of 16, that's not much of a contribution.
No, no,
And at the same time, I want to applaud uh, Robertson.
mm-hmm.
There is no way that he could have played his role any better than what he has.
Right, right. He is not a competent, but he's a good linebacker who
Sure,
understands the game, and that's what Ellaby brings you. Except Ellaby brings you speed and athleticism, but he's never healthy, and that's why I think you still need to draft a guy who can do what Ellaby can do, but give it to you for 16 games.
sure,
You don't have that on the roster. I know about Stephon Anthony and so forth, but Stephon Anthony mentally is not there. And that is a problem. Until he gets there mentally, he's more of a hindrance than he is an asset on your team. You know, like I said, he's in a Mark Fields learning curve. Mark Fields had this tremendous athletic ability. He was the fastest linebacker. He could make impact plays if he knew where the hell the play was going. And in those first couple of years with the Saints, he did not understand the defense. He did not know how to read an offense. He did not understand misdirections. He would get fooled all the time. And that's where Anthony is right now. When Anthony gets it all together, he should be as good as Ellaby is right now, but he's not there yet. So, that's kind of where we are with this defense. And, we were talking about injuries earlier. That also spills over to the special teams because don't underestimate the missing who man at tight end as affecting that special teams, because I think him not being there as the blocking tight end on the edge problem. And I also think, McMahon is constantly, you see these moves all season long where you see guys getting cut and brought back and cut again. The Brian Dixons, the 3 guys who just picked up from Denver 2 weeks ago. You're
the
seeing
lineman,
these.
the the lineman from the Raiders.
Right. Khalil Barnes, going on and off the
Yeah, yeah,
roster.
yeah.
These are decisions that have to be made because of injuries. You don't have enough bodies out there to run practice. But at the same time, if these guys, you've got 5 starters, 5 cornerbacks that are gone from the team right now. So you have to bring these other guys in.
Yeah.
You're losing players that would play special teams for you. You're losing guys who could possibly be a returner for you, or guys that will block for returns, or your gunners who are going to go down, run down, and make the big play. You saw what happened when he activated Lampman. Lampman goes in there and makes a play in the first game, and then he hurts his knee, and then he comes back later. Yeah. It's just – that all impacts your special teams too. And if you've been drafting poorly for the past 4 or 5 years, all your depth, the bottom half of your roster that makes up your special teams, that suffers. And if you got injured players, that makes it even worse. So,
it's a trickle down theory.
Right. It's not just McMahon. I mean, McMahon is a problem that needs to be addressed. But it's simply replacing McMahon with Bobby April because he's a local guy, isn't going to fix the special teams. You have to have your roster, and you have to have that bottom half of your roster healthy. Haven't been lucky with that. We've been grabbing guys off the street, grabbing guys that aren't impact players. That is hurting our special teams. We don't have a Chris Reese who recovered ambush. We don't have I can't think of the linebacker right now, not Michael Marty, because Michael Marty's hurt too. But we don't have Not Roman
Ramon
Humber.
Humber.
Not Ramon Humber. It was a guy who was a special teams captain in 2009 and 2010. He got let go, and I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. I can picture him. He's number 54. I can picture him. Um, he's there with his little girl in the Super Bowl with all the stuff coming down, all the confetti coming down. But anyway,
I remember.
yeah, you're losing all your special teams star players, the guys who lead the team in tackles and special teams. You lost those kind of guys, the Reggie Robies.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and when you don't have those kind of players, your team special teams suffer, and that's the issue we have right now on the team.
Maybe we should send an invitation to Pierre Thomas. Say, hey, all we need you to do is return kicks.
Yeah. Hey, you know who discovered Pierre Thomas, right? You know who pushed for him, the Saints to sign him? Greg McMahon.
Really?
Greg McMahon had was the guy who loved Pierre Thomas, but he loved him for special teams. He loved him as a returner. And Sean Payton's like, man, he's got such good hands. We're going to make him a running back. and but that was a Greg McMahon find. He really liked.
All things considered, the undrafted free agents that have flown through this team in recent years, it just staggers the mind. You've got the Pierre Thomases, the Kyrie Robinsons, the Travaris Cadet, Chris
Ivory.
Yeah. And
you know,
had we retained those
Lance
guys,
Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too, you got to keep in mind when we talk about undrafted free agents, because a lot of people just kind of say, well, that just means you don't know how to draft, or, these guys making your team. Keep in mind, the draft is 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Danny Abramowitz was 17th round pick back when he had 17 rounds.
Yeah.
Jim Wilkes was a 12th round pick.
Wow.
And that was probably the best nose guard we ever had. In the 3-4 defense. These are guys that probably would have got drafted in the 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds way back when, but those draft rounds don't exist anymore. So, the Mr. Irrelevant making the team now isn't nearly as impressive as it was. Oh, my son just texted me. It was Troy Evans. Troy Evans was the linebacker. He must have Googled it while we were talking. But anyway,
birthday boy on the spot.
That's right. I trained him well.
We're gonna have to put him on payroll in research and development, I guess.
There you go. He'll love that. I mean, ideally, his job is he wants to be an NFL scout. He would love to be an NFL scout. Just let him look at college footage all day long and just send him out there scouting players. That would be his job. Well, hey, let's talk about the upcoming game, because actually it's kind of historical. For some reason, I don't know why. For some reason, I thought we were playing in Los Angeles this week. I'm kind of disappointed we're not, because the fact that the Saints, I posted this in the 9 chat. Oh, not supposed to talk about that. I posted in a Facebook group that shall remain nameless. About the history of the Los Angeles Rams, and the last game the Rams ever played until this year in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum was against the Saints in 1979, and that was the year that the Rams went to the Super Bowl with a 9-7 record. And it's interesting that this is the first time we're going to play a Los Angeles Rams team since we've gone to the NFC South. We've played the Rams before, the St. Louis Rams. We've always seemed to have trouble with under Sean Payton. We didn't have trouble with Jim Haslett, which was interesting because Haslett always seemed to beat the greatest show on turf.
Oh, wow.
But Sean Payton seems to have trouble with the Rams. So this will be an interesting perspective. We're playing this week Gerard Goff's second start. Jeff Fisher just tied Tom Landry for second most losses in the history of the NFL.
I'm hoping we can get that man a place of his own come this week.
Well, I'm always nervous when we
Just
play rookie quarterbacks because we somehow manage to turn rookie quarterbacks into the second coming of Joe Montana and Joe Namath and God knows who else.
just so that you know, your son, young Matthew, he
Uh-huh.
he just posted in our live chat, said, "LOL, you thought I googled."
Yeah. Oh, you were did you used to watch Cheers? Do you remember Cheers? The show
Uh,
Cheers?
rarely.
Okay. There's a character named Cliff Clavin. You know who Cliff Clavin is, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's my son. Now he's gonna Google Cliff Clavin. But no, we did. They
the
did.
last
He
time
was
that
on.
the last
He was
time
on.
that we had a Los Angeles Rams week, it involved the Dome Patrol, didn't it? And
No.
and Eric Dickerson.
Well, no. Eric Dixon was gone by the time. No, he was gone in 1987, 88. I have to go back and look again. I think it was 88. He was traded to the. Well, let's see. I'm sure he's going to beat me to it. But no, my son did a fantasy. Did a Okay, he was traded in 87. Okay, it was 87. So the Dome Patrol hadn't formed yet. No, Eric Dickerson destroyed Bum Phillips' defense in 1983. But anyway,
Repeatedly.
yes. No, Cliff Clavin was on a Jeopardy episode where they had like all his ideal categories, like bar trivia, uh, you know, famous beers around the world, that kind of stuff. Well, Matthew used to was in a quiz bowl thing, and they got his dream board. Name the last five NFL MVPs. Name the last five NBA MVPs. Name the last five NBA champions. Oh, he was just like rattling these things off. He's about 10 or 12, just boom, boom, boom. And these people are like, you know that? And he's like, oh, yeah, I know that. So, yeah, if it's statistics and details like that, he knows that stuff. But anyway, kill this. Okay. But I've lost my train of thought. We were just talking about a second ago.
Historical
Yeah.
perspective.
Historical perspective about the Rams. There we go. The Rams, by all rights, that offense cannot move the ball. The defense will be Greg Williams, so you're going to get an all-out blitz on and cover zero. So we have to make them pay. And the good news is, playing in the dome, we should be able to exploit that Rams defense. It'll be interesting to see who comes. But historically, we haven't done well against them.
If we go up against the Rams defense, we got to make them pay. But if history teaches us anything, a Greg Williams defense is not averse to getting paid.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, I worked hard on that.
That never happened.
I know, but it was worth a laugh.
Okay.
Anyway. But seriously, it seems kind of, and I made this point in one of our chat rooms earlier today. It's so ironic to me that week after week after week that we're facing basically the same type of narrative. I mean, it was true with the Seahawks. It was true with the Broncos. It was true with Carolina. We're facing a struggling offense and a really strong defense. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be week in, week out for us. That seems to be the running narrative for this season.
Well, if we keep doing what we've been doing, we take away Todd Gurley, we take away the run, make Jared Goff throw that ball, and then get the pressure on him and force a lot of 3 and outs, blitz the heck out of him, knock him down, make him look at the rush instead of looking downfield as receivers, we should do well. The question will be, as always, does the offense come out smoking? And if it comes out smoking in the beginning, are we going to hit that second quarter, early third quarter lull where we're not doing very much, and then we have to kind of fight our way back in the fourth quarter? Or are we down the whole time, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter we turn it on? Or worst case scenario, we're getting another blocked field goal, another blocked, this time a blocked punt, God knows what, we're fumbling kickoffs, running into each other on special teams. We'll see what happens. Now.
Let me ask you this, Alan. Have you heard anything in regards to an update this week on the status of Mark Ingram? Is he still in?
No, it's he is not in concussion protocol, they say.
Okay.
That I did read. He is not in concussion protocol. The Saints say he should be available for Sunday.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, they haven't practiced. They are treating this like a regular week. So they film on Monday. They were off today. They're going to practice tomorrow and probably practice Thanksgiving afternoon or maybe Thanksgiving early morning. It's just a regular work week for them.
Yeah.
Now the good news is, because you played on a Thursday night, you essentially got a mini bye. So we may see Armstead.
Yeah.
I hope we'll see Armstead. I hope that, he can play on his knee, because with Armstead and Pete on that left side, that really strengthens the Saints, both pass protection and in the running game. I mean, Pete really has come along as a guard.
He absolutely has.
Bobby Hebert kind of compared him to Jim Dombrowski, who was drafted as a tackle out of Virginia and really turned out to be a great guard. And if that's the case, we really have a good upside. Last thing, and then we're going to have to wrap it up, even though we started late. I don't know if you saw this or not. Avery Young, the tackle out of Auburn, is now off the NFL or the non-football injury list. That's what it is, non-football injury.
I saw that.
That's interesting, because the Saints must really, really like him, because guys like that don't hang around. I mean, he's been on that list since before training camp. And the Saints don't usually be on that list that long, especially undrafted rookies. They usually get rid of this. They must really see something special in him. And I told y'all, if you go back and look at the early episodes of this podcast, that I really liked him and Landon Turner as possible replacement guards, for the future. Because
on draft day, I picked Avery Young, Landon Turner, Devontae Harris. I picked like my 5 guys to undrafted free agents and he was on there.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see. I don't think he'll season, but I'm curious to see what they do with him. What are their plans? Again, here we go back to special teams and the problem with special teams. If Turner and Harris can, Turner and Young can turn out to be good backup swing guys, that, on special teams now you're going to see better protection, because you have better linemen in there helping out, not just sticking your starters out there and having them play special teams. So we'll see how that goes. I think we're going to win this weekend. I think we'll get to 5 and 6. In fact, I think we have a good shot at winning most left. The only games I'm nervous about, I guess, are the second Atlanta game at the end of the season, and the
Detroit.
Detroit's a perfect storm for us. Unfortunately, Detroit is the team that comes back in the fourth quarter, And we're a team that right now we play our best at the fourth quarter for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, if we don't get the special team stuff straightened out, that'll be another game where I can see us winning a field goal or an extra point, return that for a touchdown, and beat us. You know, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, see, even your child thinks the same thing. That's going to be that kind of game. So, but if
He
we can
must have
run the
heard you.
game,
He must have heard you
what?
on speaker.
That's right. If we can run the table, I, even if we don't make the playoffs, just to get to 9-7, 10-6, that'd be a huge step for this program going forward. And that's how you have to kind of look at this right now. Let's just get
Sure.
a winning season and play the
Well,
string out from there.
I've said it repeatedly, and I reinforce it now. I'm not concerned about the playoffs for this team because I've always been one of those people that if you're going to go to the playoffs just to lose after a round, why bother? If you're not
That's the
going to the
Jim Mora
play,
years.
if you're not going to the playoffs to win the whole thing, stay home. And by that thinking, I'm not concerned right now with this team making the playoffs. If we do, we do. If we don't, let's get ready for what's next. And
Well, I don't, and it ties in with this. People like to throw out the whole stat of, well, 3 of the last 4 years you've had losing seasons, and this was like another one. Well, but they're not the same team. Okay, 2012 Bounty Gate. We're going to discount that one because of all the drama involved. And you don't have a head coach. I don't care what team you are. How many games do you think the Patriots are going to win if Bill Belichick is suspended for the year? You
not
know,
many.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they will win as many games. Okay, they're not going to. You just can't. There's a reason why you have a head coach. Um, so you discount 2012. Okay, so we're looking at 2014, 2015, and I just look at those two teams. And the 2016 team is not the same team. It's not the same
No.
players. It's not the same kind of games. We're not getting that same kind of effort that we saw in those, or lack of effort that we saw in
Yeah.
2014, 2015. There's no Brandon Browner. We're not leading the league in penalties anymore. There's no fights in the locker room. The team is not tearing itself apart with egos and people saying things off, to the media about how they're better than the guys that were on the 2019. You see a team that is coming together, but it's still missing pieces. That's why it's not winning. And it's a young team. Look at Von Bell. Look at even Lutz, a young guy. Look at Michael Thomas. Look at Brandon Cooks is the old man in the room as a receiver, and he's a 2014 guy. You know, um, there's a lot going on that's positive, but people look at the record, and of course, the way we're losing, where it's a handful of plays, and they automatically go, "Oh, Deshaun Payton's at the end of his time. Fans are getting tired of his act. People are getting tired of, he's done. He's stale, and I don't see that. I saw that in 2014. I don't see that with this team. Okay, I see a team it's beating itself right now, and it's beating itself because they have too many guys that lack the experience, and they have too many guys that are making. I don't know how to explain it other than making mistakes that are costing the team right now that they won't make in the future. And I just maybe it's the eternal optimism in me. I don't know, but that's how I see it.
Well, at the end of the day, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And the past 2 years, I can see so many steps backwards, whether that be from players or games or results of games or whatever however you want to look at it. But this year, I can see steps forward. I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but at the same time, this team is 15 points from being a one-loss team, sitting right there
Yeah.
with the Dallas Cowboys and New
Mm-hmm.
England Patriots. And obviously we didn't do the things necessary to get those wins, and because of that, we're still sitting here two games under 500, and we're just going to have to get better. That's all there is to it.
Well, you are what your record says you are, but that stat we read earlier about the defense, the stats about the offense. I mean, that's
But I
what
mean,
makes
I
that.
I think it bears mentioning though. You stop and you think, you go back 10, 11 weeks ago, and what was the prevailing mindset when it came to this offense coming out of preseason? What was the prevailing mindset coming out of week 1, week 2 of this defense?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I mean, there's highs and lows, there's ebbs and flows, but overall, is this team a better team than what we thought it would be? And I think the answer to that is absolutely.
yeah, yeah. The frustration is really because there's a handful of plays. It's the difference between us being or whatever number you want to pull out versus 4 and 6. And that's why people are angry, because they think another coach somehow can coax out those wins.
Yeah.
But it's not coaching that's losing the games. It's mistakes that they're making on the field.
Yeah.
These guys are in positions to make the plays, and they're not making them. 3rd and 10, we're in a position to stop that. Earlier in the game, Crawley comes out and punches the ball out on a 3rd down play, and the receiver drops it. He doesn't get to do that on the 3rd and 10 play to Kelvin Benjamin because he went up so high to go get it. Okay. Drop passes, being in a bad position on a 2-point conversion, a bad call, that kind of stuff. That's really what's going on. It's not just coaching. It's mistakes they're making on the field, and that's how I see it. That's why I think this team is close to the 2008. They just need to learn how to finish. And when this gets going, then we'll see that running machine that we saw in 2009 and 2011.
Well, I think we're getting to where we're trying to go.
Right.
It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And in the big picture, I think that this team is more than less a lot closer to where we wanted to be than what we thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So, okay. Let's see how we do this weekend.
One last thing. I didn't get this in the opening, but there's a guy that I want to thank for their continued support in helping us to get our show out there. Let me let me make sure that I get this right here. Joel Smith, who does a ton of stuff to help us out and to get our stuff out there on all the Facebook groups and what have you. Thank you so much for your continued support. You don't know how much your help is appreciated.
Absolutely. John Pinto, John Pinto, our personal PR director here.
That's right.
All his help, all his hard work.
Pinto.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto.
And we went way over time because of technical problems and stuff like that. But join us next week as we dissect the Los Angeles Rams, and we hope to have. We don't get Mike Detillier for next week. We will have him. I'd like to get him at the end of the season for sure and get his thoughts on the roster and upcoming draft picks. Mike Detillier has a M&D draft guide. We will talk about that some more.
Also,
for about 30 years, and it's there is not a player that will get drafted that Mike hasn't done a write-up on. That is an amazing statistic.
That is. Also, next week's program, we have some guests coming on from Big Easy Believer, Barry Hurstius and Bob Rose. They're going to be joining us next week on the show.
Absolutely. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Barry and I will try not to talk the whole time about the old Saints, but I have plenty of stories. I know he does too. So that will be fun. That will be fun. We will talk about his take on the Saints, and of course his take on the game against the Rams and the rest of the season. So, but in the meantime, you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a very happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much turkey. If you do, you just sleep it off. And
thank you guys so much for your support, and from the staff and cast and crew of the Under the Dome podcast, we thank you so much for your support, and we wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.